Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian, the show that dares to ask the tough questions in economics, politics, and freedom. Buckle up because today we're diving into a topic that's sure to rev your engine. Peter Navarro's recent salvo against a BMW plant in South Carolina, why he believes it's bad for America, and what the Austrian economists and common sense have to say. You won't want to miss this, so let's get started. Imagine you're in Spartanburg, South Carolina, home to a massive BMW plant. This behemoth facility spans 8 million square feet, employs 11,000 highly skilled workers, and pumps out around 1,500 vehicles a day. It doesn't just boost South Carolina's economy, it exports more vehicles than it imports. All in all, if you live in Spartanburg, you probably know someone who works there, or maybe your cousin's neighbor who found a decent job in the supply chain. This is no small potatoes. BMW's presence is a major factor in the region's prosperity. But apparently that's not how everyone sees it. Enter Peter Navarro, an economic advisor to President Trump, or what we might jokingly call Donald Trump 2.0. Navarro claims that this investment model, where BMW and Mercedes come into Spartanburg and have us assemble German engines and Austrian transmissions, is harmful to both the U.S. economy and our national security. Strong words indeed. The short version. Navarro's worried about foreign capital taking advantage of the U.S. Maybe he thinks our resources are being exploited, that American ingenuity is overshadowed, or that foreign producers might undercut our domestic industries. And if we take his statements at face value, it sounds like he'd prefer that any foreign investment be outlawed altogether. But let's put on our detective hats and maybe a small dose of skepticism. On this show, we believe in analyzing statements rather than swallowing them whole. So let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on. Does this fear hold water? And more importantly, is that how trade really works? To tackle Navarro's logic, we also need to look at how the presidency and tariff powers have evolved over time. Originally, in a pre-New Deal world, setting tariff rates wasn't the president's job. Congress passed the laws, set the rates, and hashed it all out in their hallowed halls. Of course, there were good, bad, and just downright ugly tariff laws, like the infamous Smoot-Hawley tariff that helped deepen the Great Depression, but at least there was debate. Then along comes FDR in 1933. With the New Deal's expansion, Congress gradually handed over more regulatory control to the executive branch. The federal courts, in turn, gave the president a lot more flexibility to interpret laws. This means that nowadays, someone like Navarro, who might not fully grasp the complexities of international trade, can waltz into the White House, whisper into the president's ear, and single-handedly shape policy. That's precisely how you get a real head-scratcher like those remarks about BMW. Now, unsurprisingly, BMW officials have fired back. They pointed out their massive multi-billion-dollar investment, the thousands of jobs it created, and the fact that they export more than they import. And here's the kicker. They tally up an economic impact of about $26.7 billion, with 3.1 in wages and salaries. That sure doesn't sound like it's bad for America, does it? Yet there's a subtle trap here that even BMW's statement might play into, the assumption that the money spent on capital automatically equates to its true value. According to Austrian economists, capital goods aren't valuable just because they cost a lot. They're valuable because they produce things people want. If you pour millions or billions of dollars into building something nobody wants to buy, you're setting yourself up for an economic bust, no matter how big the spending number looks. Enter our old friend, John Maynard Keynes, or more specifically, the Keynesian school of economics. People like Paul Krugman often focus on the trillions of dollars spent when it comes to any new plan because in their mind, spending equals stimulus. Hey, let's spend $2 trillion on infrastructure, $2 trillion on childcare, $2 trillion on green energy. Boom. We'll fix the economy. But Austrian economists, such as Maury Rothbard, beg to differ. It's not the cost of capital that matters, but whether that capital is used effectively to create goods and services that people actually demand. Wow, isn't that so neat? You have two competing schools of economic thought. So, if a BMW plant in Spartanburg produces top-notch cars that Americans and people around the world are lining up to buy. Guess what? That's legitimate economic value. If the plant were a money-losing lemon, we wouldn't be championing the economic activity simply because BMW spent billions of dollars. Wasteful spending isn't good for anyone. Now, Peter Navarro's worldview sees foreign investment almost like a Trojan horse. Foreign capital sneaks in, takes control, and leaves the American workers worse off. But that's simply not how it works in a free market. Trade and investment are not zero-sum games. BMW doesn't move into Spartanburg because they want to sabotage South Carolinians. They move in because there's profit to be made by producing quality cars more efficiently, and Americans benefit from new jobs, better wages, and the ripple effect throughout the local economy. In fact, Austrian economists teach that capital investment, whether domestic or foreign, boosts productivity, innovation, and ultimately living standards, so long as they're driven by genuine consumer demand and not artificial manipulation. That's a win-win for the U.S. and for any partner country. To quote Rothbard, trade is a positive-sum activity, expanding the array of choices for consumers. The tale of BMW and Spartanburg showcases the good that foreign investment can do. It highlights the complexity behind capital goods and suggests that focusing on how much money is spent is like measuring a meal by how high the bill is, rather than, the quality of the food. Because I've been to restaurants that just have exorbitant prices and garbage food. Ultimately, the best test of an investment is whether it produces goods that people want in a profitable, sustainable way. So is Peter Navarro right about foreign-owned factories are somehow bad for America? Or is it actually a shining example of how free trade and capital investment can lift everyone's boat? We at Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian say, let the market decide. And in this case, it looks like the market is giving BMW a big thumbs up. That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment to Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian here on YouTube. I'm also on Spotify now. Let us know what you think about trade, tariffs, and big foreign-owned factories. Are you smarter than a libertarian? Let's find out in the comments. New videos drop every day. Until tomorrow, stay free, stay informed, stay accountable.